everybody. This segment, our good friend Jed Dietrich is back with us on AM Buffalo. Jed is the president of the Dietrich Law Firm, and you have seen his past segments, and you know Jed is a font of great information about the law and you and your rights. Today's topic, well, with everybody being outside a little bit more with our pets, we're going to be talking about what do you do in case of a dog bite as far as legal issues, and we're going to open the phones as well if you have a question, 644-9840. Good morning. Nice to have you back with us.
Thanks, Lyd. It's my pleasure.
And may I say you'll be back more regularly.
Absolutely.
So we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, you know, you're right. You do read of instances where people are getting out, animals are getting out, and dog bites occur.
Yeah, what happens is I'm getting a number of calls at my office, so I figured I'd come on today to talk about this because so many people are calling me. People are out and about, they're going to festivals, as your last segment indicated. And the problem is when people don't leash their dogs and the dog gets out and then the dog has a propensity to be vicious. And the law looks at that and says if the dog has a propensity to be vicious and the owner knows about that and the dog bites someone, then the homeowner's policy for the dog owner should be responsible. And that's where I come in. And that's why you need a lawyer to preserve your rights immediately after a dog bite, to do an investigation and to talk to you to give you advice. And you take pictures, you talk to neighbors, you talk to the postman. So there is a fairly extensive investigation that takes place with these things. But a lot of people say, well, it was a little thing, but scars come about relatively easily, especially in the younger people. I've got a couple of cases right now where children were at sleepovers with friends, and the dog's at the house where the sleepover occurred. Dog gets out of an area, and the next thing you know, you've got a permanent scar on an 8 or 10-year-old child, which is a real problem. I mean, you got to live with that for the rest of your life. So I'm here for informational purposes to tell people what to do initially, and if they want to bring a claim, obviously I'm willing to do that for them. They can call me at 839-3939. That's my office line.
Jed, what if what if you have a dog with no propensity to bite that you know of? It's never bitten anybody before, and you have somebody who trespasses and they ultimately get bit.
That's a good question, Linda. And in that circumstance, I would probably give the person information as to what they should do medically. But from a legal standpoint, it doesn't sound like that there's a claim to be brought. I mean, in New York, you have to have what's known as vicious propensities. So the dog frequently would get out, perhaps, nip at people, bite people, bark at the postman or woman. And so it's a fact-intensive inquiry. And the reality is the homeowner's insurance policy is there for protection of the people that are injured. And we've had good success in having proper results, fair and reasonable results for injuries that were substantial. Obviously, if it's a small thing, there's no scar, you don't go to the hospital, then you're not going to bring a claim. I'm talking about instances where there's a pattern of the dog biting people, and then you end up with a hospital visit, perhaps an injury that turns into a scar or even surgery. The one case I was referring to over in Rochester has included 2 surgeries already to a young 10-year-old boy, and unfortunately he's going to have a scar which is about 7 inches across his face underneath his eye. He was lucky the dog didn't get him in the eye, and it's a very fact-intensive investigation, and that was a case where you absolutely have to have a lawyer looking out for your rights, fighting for you, because if you don't have a lawyer fighting for you, the insurance companies are not going to treat you fairly. I always say this, Linda, I've said it before, if insurance companies were fair, I would not have a job, and that's the truth. So I'm there for you. I give every client my cell phone number, and we get back to people within 1 business day, no matter what. My staff does that. We like to say we're aggressive, tenacious, and hardworking for you. And I use those principles when I prosecute every single case in my office. You hear about some of these people who also advertise, and they've got their angle, and I think my angle is much more personal approach. And I don't take every case that calls. I can tell you that right now. And sometimes I talk to people for half an hour or an hour on the phone and give them information, but I decide that I can't help them or they don't have a claim that's valid. I think it's important to determine which claims are valid and then pursue those vigorously.
That's good to know. All right, Jed, we have a phone call and a question for you this morning, and your calls are welcome. Hello, welcome.
Oh.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, Mr. Dietrich. My name is Scott, and my son was awarded $15,000 from a dog bite injury, and his medical, went above and beyond that, and unfortunately he's disabled, and Medicare, I guess, came back with a judgment, and now there's MSPRC involved, and I guess whatever left he'll get. Can you please explain what this MSPRC does?
Yeah, I'm sorry that it's turned out the way you just described, sir. The lawyer who represented your son should have made a claim for all medical bills paid either by Medicaid or Medicare or a private health insurance company, and also made a claim for pain and suffering to your son or grandson, whoever it was. It sounds like that settlement wasn't large enough to cover all of the outstanding expenses and thereafter provide compensation to the young person for the pain and suffering. So it sounds like that case did not turn out properly. Once there's a settlement, and if it's a young person under 18 years old, in front of a judge, it's very difficult to reopen things like that, because you go in front of a judge and you ask the judge, do you agree that this case should be settled in this fashion? Now, sometimes when you have a case where there are no vicious propensities, you may have to settle a case for less than what the value of the medical bills and the pain and suffering is, because there's a bad claim on liability. You have to show that vicious propensity. So in that particular circumstance, it doesn't sound like I or any other lawyer could reopen it. It sounds like there may have been a problem with the liability, and if you had further questions, I definitely encourage you to contact the lawyer who initially handled it to get some more information.
Thanks, caller. And that does happen, where someone will settle and not get an attorney and just settle with the insurance company, and then these bills or this other money or needs for more money comes up later, and once you decide to settle, you're pretty much done.
That's right. Yeah. And again, it just goes back to the fact that you want somebody in your corner fighting for you.
Right.
And I say, I've got your back, I'm in your corner.
All right, Jed Dietrich, and we're glad that he'll be with us more often now. A great question, thank you for that came in, and if you have additional questions, 839-3939 for the Dietrich Law Firm. And they have moved now, they're on North Forest Road in Amherst. You can always go to their website, www.calljed.com.
Thanks, Linda.